This platform in a void sure is boring. Let's fix that. Welcome to the new test/showcase environment for Reap What You Sow, a horror game where you play as the monster. I know it looks small, and that's because it is, but that's only because this is the starting room of it all. This is where players like you will get their first taste of gameplay, so I need a closed-off environment to let players get accustomed to the controls, like Portal. Besides, things only look small because I'm showing this at a human scale. When you're in-game looking through the eyes, or more accurately, over the shoulder of a 2-foot-tall sentient plushie, things seem way bigger than they actually are. Unreal Engine has this really cool prototyping tool called the Cube Grid tool. It lets you model things on a grid. It lets you gray box levels really quickly, and if you're anything like me, you can even model furniture with it. The workflow is similar to the trench broom if you've ever used that. However, the Cube Grid tool works in metric, but I needed it to model in feet since that's what I'm basing the game's scale on. Luckily, Blender has this really handy feature where you can change the grid size based on different measurement systems. So I changed it to Imperial and set up a few base units. I then changed it back to metric just in case it messed anything up and exported them into Unreal. I then lined the Cube Grid with the foot guide and saved that as a preset so I could recall it whenever I need to. Ideally, I could set these as defaults, I just don't know how to do that. With the Cube Grid all set up, I could build rooms and props to scale directly in Engine, which is a huge deal. I could easily compare against the player scale and then change things right then and there if I didn't like it. When I was modeling, I noticed all the meshes made with the Cube Grid were just in the generated folder right here. And it turns out they're just normal old static meshes. So there was nothing stopping me from just using the generated meshes as my props just after a little refinement. Once the gray box version of a thing was finished, I exported it out of Unreal and imported it into Blender. I then refined its topology to optimize it. As amazing as the Cube Grid tool is, it doesn't exactly know the most optimal topology for things most of the time. Once I finished retoppling the gray box, I set up any material slots I need. For example, the walls have 2 slots, one for the wall itself and one for the molding. For positioning the textures correctly, I'm using this really cool free add-on called Level Design. It handles all the hard parts of UV unwrapping environments. Although for certain textures, I do need to reorient the UVs on my own. Once a mesh has been fully optimized and textured, I export it back into Unreal. Unreal has this really cool feature where if you open a static mesh in the editor, you can just replace it with a new file, and it will just update all the instances of that mesh throughout the entire project. I still need to manually set up the materials, but I would need to do that anyway since I have a custom master material I'm instancing off of. Right now it's really basic, but if I want to add some more advanced stuff later on, I can, and every single material instance will update along with it. Skeletal meshes are a bit trickier. You need to import them first and then replace them in the level, but it's a similar process. Now onto the movement controller and how challenging it was to get working right. Since stealth is a big part of the game, I wanted to do something similar to how MGS5 does movement. I really like how everything is accessible from the keyboard with the right button combo. However, problems crop up when you realize the default third-person character controller was never designed to go prone and crawl around in the first place. The way Unreal handles character collision is with a primitive shape around the character. You don't see this in-game, it just treats that as the player's hitbox. Admittedly, this is fine for 99% of games. However, Reap What You Sow is in that 1%. Crouching is easy. Even though they aren't implemented, there is logic for crouching and uncrouching, which is a great start. You just need to hook up the nodes and put in the proper details. But the problem arises when you need to go prone. Since a collision is a non-rotatable capsule, if you set it up like you would for crouching, a large portion of the character is outside of the collider, meaning you can really easily clip your head through walls. The workaround I came up with was to add 4 different collision spheres that, when she goes prone, pop out and act as colliders. These prevent her feet or head from clipping into any walls. Thankfully, once I solved the collision issue, actually implementing the ability to crouch and crawl was way simpler. In order to track what Jess is doing for stealth, I've set up a state machine of sorts. It's an enum that lists every action she could be doing in a broad sense of the word. This has the benefit of making state-dependent logic, such as choosing different actions based on if she's crawling or crouching, really simple. Depending on what input is pressed, her state changes, which in turn tells the controller what to do. Like if the crawl command is pressed, that puts her into the crawling state, which tells the controller to switch her animation to the crawl set and change her speed accordingly. I mentioned in the last devlog, Jess can now attack, although I didn't really like how it worked. Well, now it works way better. When she attacks while moving, she slides to a stop instead of all movement stopping instantly. The way I was able to do this was by completely cutting all movement input while she attacks and temporarily reducing the friction that is enacted on her when she stops moving, thus giving the illusion that her momentum is preserved. I even have the reduction change based on whether or not she's sprinting, further selling the illusion. I also managed to fix that weird jitter glitch that happens when she's on a certain angle. Sort of. The solution was to use a box trace instead of a line trace. Instead of analyzing one singular point, the box analyzes anywhere inside it, so the game knows for sure if she's on an angle or not. There is still some jittering that happens in some weird edge cases, but it's way harder to accidentally trigger it, and until I fix it, I can build a map geometry around it so it never happens. And that is about it. Sorry this took a while to get out, the next one shouldn't take as long, hopefully, and I should have the Steam page up by next time, hopefully. I will make an announcement in my Discord, which you should join by the way, there's a link in the description. I'll make an announcement when the store page is live so you all can start adding it to your wish lists. However, if you want to support this project now and potentially make it my full-time job, you can join my Patreon, which is also linked down below. For just $1 a month, you get access to all my videos a day early, and not just the ones on this channel, but you also get an exclusive channel in my Discord. And if you pay a bit more, you get access to behind the scenes images and videos, as well as access to playtest builds before anyone else. But if not, I thank you for watching regardless, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!